Welcome to Archispeak, a podcast about all things architecture. My name is Neil Pan. Join me and my co-hosts, Evan Troxel and Cormac Phelan, every other week as we explore what it is like to work in the profession of architecture. Have you ever worked with an architect? Have you ever wanted to be an architect? Maybe you're in school and you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Or perhaps you know exactly what it is like as you've been working in the profession for a long time, and you know that the more things change, the more they stay the same. Or maybe, just maybe, you're planning on changing the world. Join us as we have a casual conversation about all things architecture. It's time for some Archispeak. Welcome to episode 101 of the Archispeak podcast. I'm Neil Pan.
I'm Evan Troxel.
And I'm Cormac Phelan.
And this episode of Archispeak is once again sponsored by our good friends over at ARCAT. Check out all the features they offer at arcat.com, and we'll talk a little more about them later in the show. But first up, we have some friends of the show to announce.
We have two friends of the show to announce, and apologize in advance because I think these friends have donated a few weeks ago, and we're just getting around to this. So they were lost in the pile of emails. But that out of the way, let's talk about our first friend of the show for this episode, which is George Valdez from New York City. And George is a guy that we've run into a few times at the AIA convention, and he is one of the guys working on Iris VR. And he says, thank you very much for the much-needed conversation. So we appreciate that, George. That's a very cool little note to get, and I appreciate that you're listening. Our next new friend of the show is John Bird, and John Bird is a third-year architecture student in Texas, and he thanks Cormac for his service.
Thanks, John. Ooh.
All right, so those are our new friends of the show. If you would like to become a friend of the show, and if you would like to send us a nice note like that, you can do that free of charge. But if you would like to donate, we would love it because it helps make the podcast possible. So you can do that at archispeakpodcast.com/donate. And any donation over $5, you can have your name read on the air. And of course, you can choose not to. And we still would appreciate the donations. Like we said, it helps make the show possible. So head over to that web address and make your donation today. Thank you very much. So a next little piece of business to talk about before we jump into it here is the Now Next Future Conference, which is happening, I think it's October 28th. So it's coming up soon. It's coming within a week of the release of this podcast episode. So the Now Next Future Conference is going on in Los Angeles. And if you head over to nownextfuture.org, that is the website address. And there's some people speaking at this. It's really a architecture and technology conference. And it's put on by the AIA California Council. Very excited to go to this and kind of see what's happening. I did reach out to, there's actually a couple of old students of mine are presenting there. It's going to be cool to catch up with them. And then I reached out to Terry Moore, who's a friend of the show, and she does digital design and fabrication out of her studio, Moore Freisel in LA, and had a nice talk with her about the kinds of things that she's going to be presenting there. And just to give people kind of an idea of why they might want to attend, it's her talk specifically, and I think a lot of the other ones too are going to be about digital design and fabrication, and software as a tool, knowing your tools, knowing how things are made, and caring how things are made so that they're made how you design them, right? So I think that's something that we run into as architects all the time. Is we draw things up, we spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff, and then somebody doesn't look at the drawings and they build it anyway, right? So I think this is kind of going to be one of those eye-opening experiences of how architects are taking this into their own hands and really kind of taking back the process, and then working with fabricators and digital design to enable them to, people who are interested in seeing these designs become realized and figuring out the best way to do that with the newest tools. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it, and we'll probably talk a little bit about it after that date comes. So nownextfuture.org is the website where you can see more about what that conference is all about. And hit it up quick. I'm pretty sure they're not sold out. It's happening over at UCLA on the 28th.
So, and you're going to that?
I am going to go to that, and
sounds great.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I want to go.
Super excited about it. So I hope it kind of moves around and isn't just like an LA centric thing, but there might be more events of this type happening all over the place. I'm just starting to get into it.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way that you were explaining it, all I started to think of is first you said them not looking at drawings, and I of course have a example of that I was living through this past week, and then them basically trying to force me to choose a compromise on a design that is pretty significant, and of course I don't want to. But I was thinking that things like this, with all of this fast moving technology, might actually give us the opportunity to somewhat regain the master builder status that we at once had, that so that we are always a part of the process from start to finish. And
it's kind of amazing to me how many architects stay away from that or just ignore it, when I think it's a huge opportunity, like you're saying, to kind of grab that control back but it also forces us to dig really deep and understand the entire process so that we make the best decisions while designing it, so that it can actually happen exactly how the intent was kind of created in the beginning. So it's not easy, and it takes a lot of dedication, but the results can be pretty amazing with the technology that's out there now.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we'll get a debrief when you get back.
That's right.
You're making me want to fly down now.
Yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to it. All right. So we've got a few different grab bag topics this week that we wanted to talk about and kind of follow up our blockbuster 2-hour long episode with something maybe a little bit shorter this time, so that we're not pushing that 2-hour mark again. But that was a fun episode. Last episode 100 with Bob was fun. We had a lot of good comments, and I think it was neat for people to see behind the scenes of the podcast. I mean, our podcast is about looking behind the scenes of the architectural profession, so it was a little bit meta to go behind the scenes of the podcast that goes behind the scenes of the profession. But same with Bob's site. That was cool to get that insight and hear behind the scenes of lifeofanarchitect.com and kind of how it started and the journey that it's been on, and then the journey that we've been on too. So thanks for the comments from everybody, and you go ahead and keep commenting. If you head over to archispeakpodcast.com/episodes/100, you can leave comments there, or you can hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. And just so you guys know, we're going to be talking about a few things tonight that might end up in the show notes. And if you want to subscribe to those show notes and get them emailed to you, that's all we do with that email, is send out the show notes. And you can do that by going to the website, archispeakpodcast.com. And on the right side of just about every page, there's a way to sign up and get those delivered to your mailbox. And those show up when the episode goes live, and you can follow along and check out what we're talking about. So I'm going to start this off with something. I'm going to surprise you guys here.
Uh-oh.
This last week, an article came out on Business Insider, and you guys probably saw it, but it was, I'm looking it up here. It's called The 19 Most Breathtaking Buildings in the World According to Architects. And the reason I bring it up here is because I wanted to pose the question to you guys as it was posed to me, which was like, the deadline's in 5 minutes. You have to pick a building, go. And so, like, what's the first piece of architecture that comes to your mind that is a breathtaking piece of architecture that you would want to share with other people or make them aware of?
Interesting. Neil?
Oh,
nice.
You're going to kick it to me?
Yes.
Wow.
That was good. That was good.
Thanks a lot, throwing me under the bus there. You started talking, so I figured I would let you go.
Yeah,
hold on real quick,
silence.
Let me put it in reverse and back over you, Neil.
Do we need a thump?
You're gonna need a sound
noise?
effect for that.
Yeah,
one.
Sound effect.
All right, so
there you go.
Here's one, and so I don't know.
It's hard. Well,
I mean,
there's so many things you could say. So just pick one and go with it.
So this is an amazing collection of buildings, and they're nice buildings. I don't think it's representative of the best work that this particular architect's ever done. Uh-huh. And there are certainly more that probably could make the 19th most breathtaking. But what I found really interesting about these buildings, or a specific building on this campus, and it's the campus of Florida Southern College. I don't know if it's college or university, by Frank Lloyd Wright. He designed the campus. He designed a lot of the buildings. The campus wasn't fully realized before he passed away, but there's a huge collection, a couple, at least like, I don't know, maybe 15 or so of his buildings. But there's one building in particular. Now, they're all connected by, these low slung canopies that connect all of these different buildings. It's Florida, so it's open. And because it rains all the time, the sidewalks are covered. And there's one building, and I noticed this, and I just found it really fascinating and wanted to look into it more. We moved away, and so, but if you stand next to the building, like right up against the wall, the sound bounces off of the canted face of the cast in place concrete and bounces off into kind of like nothingness. So it almost sounds like the sound that you're making when you're standing next to the building just dies. I mean, it's a very almost, it almost kind of like sucks the sound out of the air. And then you take one step to the side and you start talking again, and it bounces in a completely different manner. And you can take a couple of different, you almost do like the little two-step right next to this, it's the administration building on campus. And you do like a little two-step, and you step in a couple of different directions, and the sound keeps changing. And it's just this weird, it's the first time that the architecture influences how you hear your natural surroundings in the voices and things like that. It goes from deadening it to amplifying it to echoing it to, it is just so bizarre.
Makes you play with it, basically.
It does.
Yeah.
And so, every time I go there, I'm like, oh, come here. You gotta see this. Okay. Say something. And now stand here and say something.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then you see the look on their face. It's like, wait, what's going on with what's the sound doing? It's just kind of really cool that it's the audio experience of architecture.
All right, Neil, you've had enough time.
Okay, well, I'm going to go old school, and this is probably just because of my experience of living.
Of course.
Oh,
so expected.
Please tell us about the Parthenon.
No, I wasn't quite going to go quite that old, but after living in Florence for a year, so when you first posed the question, I don't know. Actually, I thought of a couple of things, but this one here kind of resonates with me. But the Duomo in Florence, just a magnificent cathedral, a wonderful space in the center of Florence with the most incredible dome of all time. Really, it's an amazing structure and just a fabulous fabulous building. So. I don't know. That's kind of one of the pieces of architecture that meant a lot to me when I lived there, and still does. I mean, that experience alone, just living in Florence, experiencing not only that building, but of course a number of other cathedrals in Florence and in other parts of Italy, just really has changed my life. So
yeah, I think one of the cool things about the Duomo is how you can experience it, right? You can experience it from underneath it. You can experience it from within it, right? You get to go up between the two shells.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever been there. I haven't. I've just heard people talk about that amazing experience of getting to the oculus at the top.
Yeah. And I've actually done that. And the tradition in Florence, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, is to not go to the top until after you've graduated architecture school. So
Oh, really?
so we experienced the building throughout the year that I was there, but until we finished our last classes, and in my case, it was my last year in architecture school. So technically, quote unquote, I had graduated at that point. We went all the way to the top. We did walk between the shells of the dome, and went all the way to the top. Sorry.
Like it.
So that it was just a wonderful experience, and just a fabulous building. That is different than the other types of buildings. When you first posed the question, my first thought was, oh, what sort of modern architecture building that it means something to me.
Yeah,
but
I
this
think,
means something to me as well.
I think it's an important part of the question is breathtaking.
Yeah.
Just the word breathtaking to me means that you had to have been there and visited it. Because if you haven't, then how do you know if it's breathtaking? It's hard to get that through a photograph, I think, or a book, right, or an article. So to me, it was something I had to pick something quick, and I had to pick something that I had been to, and I happened to pick a residence. There was only 2 residences in the article. There was one for Falling Water, which Cormac, you've talked about on the podcast previously with your visit.
Yes.
And I haven't been there, and I would love to go. It's definitely on the list. But the one that I put was the Sheets Goldstein residence by John Lautner, which is in L.A.
Nice.
And I've been there a couple times now, and I've just been lucky enough to do that. And it is one of those places where I don't think a lot of people think about houses when you think of the 19 most breathtaking pieces of architecture. I think houses probably aren't on very many people's list, but this is one that, like I said in there, it's something that sits you down and makes you say, whoa, because it's one of those sci-fi pieces of architecture. It almost doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
And until you go there, when you're there, I should say, it doesn't even feel real. It's like, it's one of those jaw-dropping structures because of the way the forward-thinking design and the way that the spaces interlock and stuff. It's one of those houses that was way ahead of its time, and it was originally designed for a couple, for the Sheets couple, and then they had kids and they lived there, and they had there's I don't remember how many bedrooms. There's 3 or 4 bedrooms, and overall, I mean it's not a huge sprawling McMansion style thing, right? It's on a hillside, it's surrounded by a jungle, and it's like triangles, and it's amazing because it was originally designed to be an indoor-outdoor house that kind of epitomized life in LA, where the climate is supposedly so good that you don't need to be protected from the environment except for maybe a roof over your head. Because now there's glass between the living room and the outdoor pool area. Originally, it was an air curtain that was designed to be there. And what's so interesting about that is that you can tell when you're there that there's not supposed to be glass there, because when people try to walk through the glass and they bong into it, you're like, that like no one's paying attention, that there's actually glass there. It just doesn't feel right that there should be a barrier. And like it makes sense why it's there now, because the air curtain was a total failure, because we do get bad weather here. But at the same time, like they replaced it with completely frameless glass to keep the idea alive. And it barely separates you from indoors to outdoors. And I think that's really successful about it. There's other interesting things where huge expanses of skylight above the kitchen are operable and they open up and you're cooking outdoors all of a sudden. And there's windows from inside the pool down to the master bedroom. So you can be in the master bedroom and see who's swimming in the pool. And I mean, all this was done in the 60s, right? I mean, it's a James Bond style house for sure. It's probably most famous for being in The Big Lebowski, I would think. And some people, that's what I got laughed at. Right? Oh, you talked about The Big Lebowski house. So, but yeah, I mean, it's owned by James Goldstein. I think he's actually already has all of it worked out to where LACMA takes over the ownership of this house, because James Goldstein he's getting up there in his age. He's a total fashionista and basketball fan, and he's a jet-setting guy who flies all around the world, but he's not going to do that forever. And so LACMA is going to take over the house once he's gone, and which is cool because, I mean, I have mixed feelings. I think a house kind of loses its soul once no one lives in it anymore. That's kind of what makes a piece of architecture real architecture and not a museum. They're a little different. I don't. That might sound a little weird, but because museums can be architecture too. But I think a house kind of loses its soul once there's no one living in it anymore. So that'll be interesting to see kind of how it changes or if it changes. But anyway, that was my pick. And again, like I had 5 minutes to pick it. So there's a lot of cool buildings on that site. We'll put a link in the show notes for people to check out. A lot of friends of the show were included in there. I think Bob Borson from our last episodes got a pick in there. And let's see, who else? America McKeel, friend of the show. Rosa Shang, friend of the show. So there's quite a few people who all chat on Twitter every once in a while too and got their picks in there, so that was kind of cool. Anyway, the other stuff that we talked about doing were just some kind of listener feedback, write-ins, some different things. So we were just going to kind of take these in order. So I'll start with the first one, which was from listener Moises Perez, and let me scroll down here to what Moises was asking. He's currently doing his prerequisites at his local community college for civil engineering. He's always had a passion for architecture as a major, and how is the architecture field, and is it in demand? So that's his question there. The one thing that's kept me from pursuing architecture as a major is that I have heard architecture graduates are underpaid and that they can't find jobs. So somebody who is interested or actually passionate for architecture as a major is wondering if people are underpaid and can't find jobs, right? That's a valid concern. I think it's good to be looking ahead.
And it's always the concern every time, we get into these kind of like economic lulls in overall, because what's the first thing that gets hit is usually the design and construction industry, because people stop building new homes and when new homes stall, then the commercial side stalls and stuff like that. And, we've had our ups and downs in the past decade or so. And the one thing that I can say, just from once, kind of when we started this podcast, I started following all the different job boards, AIA, Insight, LinkedIn, a bunch of other ones, that just to kind of see not what is out there for me to be actively looking, but kind of just look at how many times people are asking for architects. Because obviously we go and we look on a job board and we type in architect, and unless we know computer programming, it's not a job for us. And I've been encouraged over the past, say, 3-4 years of seeing more and more jobs posted at every different level. Now obviously I typed in and just looking for a project manager level position, and I get a lot of things like that, and I see a lot. So that's encouraging that they're hiring basically kind of middle career to early career and stuff like that. So I think that the job market is getting better. It's becoming stronger. I do read things like in Business Weekly and stuff like that housing starts are up, and that's always encouraging. And usually what my particular gauge for the economy is, or at least for our profession, is, are they hiring architects in the Detroit area? Because that was one of the most hard hit areas in the 2008 recession. I mean, everybody got hit, but in Detroit, it went absolutely nowhere. I mean, there was no jobs to be had. In 2008, after I went out of business, and my wife and I decided that it's an opportunity for us to probably look outside of the state of Florida for employment. First thing that we wanted to do is look home and see if Michigan and Detroit area was hiring. And I've told this story before, but I sent out 60 resumes, and I'm not making that number up. It was 60 resumes, and I didn't get a single bite out of a single resume. And when I followed up on phone calls, they mostly said, well, sorry, we'd like to hire you, but we're going out of business. Or, we're laying a bunch of people off, or we have no projects for you, and things like that. And to see the market in depressed areas like that, like Florida, like California, actually bouncing back, the jobs are there, or the jobs are growing, and that's encouraging. So
yeah, it is really market dependent as far as are jobs available when you graduate. That's kind of the accurate question to ask there, right? Because right now it's going crazy, and I think it's only going to get crazier. As far as it is totally the employees market. People can go wherever they want right now. And if you have skills that firms need, I mean, that's what you're going to get a job. And I don't think that's an issue right now, but during a recession, no one's getting hired. No one. No. And so we do have these waves that we ride, and some firms, not every firm hires and fires in lockstep, right? Some firms, like the firm I work for, is very much under the culture of we keep people as long as we possibly can. And there are other firms who are like, let's cut now so that we can have a chance to survive, right? And so there's a lot of different strategies. And like I said, they don't go lockstep together. So you might be able to get a job at a firm while some other firms are actually cutting people loose. But I don't think it's difficult. I mean, this is just speaking from my experience. I don't think it's difficult to keep a job through a recession. And so that's me speaking. I know that that's not the case for everybody. But I am also the kind of person who will do anything and everything I can to become more valuable. So
exactly.
It really, I think, is up to you to show your value to these firms. And if you can do the exact same thing as a lot of other people can, it's going to be harder. But if you can do specialty things, or you are putting yourself out there and you are getting noticed, and there's definitely a lot of things that you can do to make yourself stand out. So we've talked a lot about jobs before on the show. I don't think we need to go that route. But let's address the other piece of his question, which was, are architecture graduates underpaid?
Don't let Bob hear this one, because he has his own opinions about underpaid and all that other stuff. To be quite honest with you, everybody's going to assume that they're underpaid. Is our profession's compensation kind of, how does it compare to like other professions? And we talked about, even like last episode, about our constant comparison to doctors and lawyers and things like that, and it's kind of an unfair comparison. But our profession is the finances in our profession are so dependent on so many other factors that it seems like ours is low in comparison to other professions. But to me, and here's where I get all cheesy and sappy and stuff, but to me, it's not necessarily just about the money.
Mm-hmm. Oh, please.
It is.
Oh, please.
I wouldn't.
How do you pay your mortgage, man? Do you pay it with?
I do my job and I get paid.
Okay.
Fair enough. I get paid well. But if I'm doing this job just for the pay, the crap we go through,
not worth it.
We have to deal with sometimes it's not worth it. Yeah. So in that aspect, if I don't love it, and I don't and I don't have the passion for it, which sounds like, Moises has the passion for architecture.
He's going to be fine. Yeah.
He's going to be fine. I mean, it's going to, that right there to me is what really keeps me sane in this profession sometimes, is the fact that I actually love what I do. Because I think I caught hell from somebody the last time I said something like that, about, well, I'm not just doing it for the money. Yeah, I'm doing it to get paid. I wouldn't do it to not get paid. But if we somehow could do away with anybody getting paid and they could just live, fine and all that other stuff, and you decided, hey, what job would you take? I'd probably still pick architecture.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I think that you can make a very good living. You can make a very honest, decent, really good living being an architect. And so there are a lot of squeaky wheels out there who get attention because they talk about how terrible it is. But I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
also have to find the right situation for yourself. You got to find the best location, the best firm for you.
Oh yeah.
Because there's the whole gamut out there. Just like any different field there is to choose from. If you're a doctor, there can be crappy places to work and there could be great places to work. If you're a car mechanic, it's the same way, right? If you're a librarian, it's the same way. It does not matter. So find the right place for you. And as far as graduates getting underpaid, I think I know at my firm, we're really fair to graduates. And I think for how little graduates actually know, you're getting paid very well.
Yeah.
So, as far as transitioning from a school to a career, there is a big difference in for the most part. Again, I can't cover everybody here, but for the most part, it's a big shift and it's a big change, and you got to learn a lot. Like you're not done learning when you go to a career. You're kind of just getting started. You now know how to think. Now you're going to actually learn the skills to do a job. Right. And you might have some of them, but you definitely don't have all of them. And so are you underpaid for that? I mean, I don't think so. At least, again, from my experience in my firm, there is no way that people are what could be considered underpaid. So again, what's the context for that?
Yeah, and I totally echo that, because it's like that little rookie rule in the NFL. It's like, for some reason, big rookies get paid too much money, and I always think to myself, well, show me what you can do before you earn the big money. And I will say that there is an interesting, or at least I've seen that there's an interesting kind of change in your compensation once you hit like the 2-3 year mark. People see that you know what you can do. You've kind of hit your stride. You really are starting to kind of like shake out the profession and can understand what you want out of it. And so I think that's usually it's usually kind of a time where I've seen interns in the past really start to kind of like take a look at, is this the place I want to work? Maybe I want to start looking around. And then, when they're looking around, they're both looking around for the pay bump, but also the culture of a different firm.
Absolutely. And that's what you should do.
But I mean, but specific to your question here, that's usually when you can really start to see you make more money, or you get that bump in pay.
Yep.
Or at least that's just, again, my 2 cents.
No, I think that's true. I think it's true. There's always some hesitancy hiring new graduates because nobody knows what you can do. Nobody knows. I mean, all we're basing it off of is that interview and that portfolio. And so I think just like any, it doesn't matter if you're just out of school or if you've been working in the profession for 20 years, you've got to prove yourself in your job. And then Neil, right? As soon as you've been there for a certain amount of time, then you get to talk about it again. You get to talk about that compensation and where it's at and what are we going to do, right? Like you show your value, they show you that you're valuable, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, a good question. Appreciate it, Moises. That's something we've heard quite a bit, and so it was a nice reminder to kind of address that. And
I would just say do it, because if you've got a passion for architecture, that's what the profession needs, is passionate people.
Yep. All right, let's talk about our sponsor. That is Arcat. And you guys know Arcat. Arcat's been sponsoring the show for a long time. And so right now, stop what you're doing, pull the car over, type arcat.com into your browser and see what Arcat's up to. Arcat is the one place where you can find everything that you could use to make your job easier. So would you like someone to draw CAD details for you, create BIM objects, or write specifications? How'd you like all that for free? Arcat has pulled all of this together, all the manufacturers that are out there. They've talked to all of them. They're pulling the best resource together that they possibly can, and they are the answer. You can search the Arcat libraries for CAD, BIM, specs, catalogs, videos, and more. All of this content created for you, free of charge, and you do not have to register to use their site. You don't have to register to download that content. You don't have to give out your email address or your phone number or anything like that. You can just go to Arcat and find what you need. ARCAT has created the website that's devoted to you, the building professional, to find building product information fast and hassle-free. Check out ARCAT today at arcat.com. And don't forget, you can provide feedback on the site. So if you don't find something you're looking for, which is highly unlikely, you can let them know. If you think there's a better way to do something, you can let them know. There's a button on the right side of every page. So if you have a suggestion to make ARCAT better, you can click that button and let them know. And also, you can tell them that Archispeak sent you in that box. So thanks, ARCAT, for sponsoring this episode of Archispeak. You're an awesome resource, and you are our favorite kind of cat. We love you, ARCAT. Thanks again, and let's jump back into these questions. So number 2 that we're going to talk about, Daniel Elmore. And Daniel says he loves the show. He's a young architect working in an office in New York City. He'd like to have his own practice one day and is preparing by getting licensed. 4 exams down, 3 to go. Awesome. And he is learning as much about project management and construction as he can. He says, I do consider myself a good designer and often think about how unfortunate it is that architects often have to choose between design and construction in their offices. In our industry, there seems to be a false presumption that people who can't design become PAs or PMs, that design talent is more important than construction expertise. What do you think about that, Cormac? Let's just start right there.
Actually, as going through my career as a PA and a PM, I was always fortunate because I worked in a smaller office that I was the project designer and the project architect and the project manager and the CAD guy and everything else. And it helped shape my understanding of buildings far more than the kind of pigeonholed practitioner. And I understand exactly what he's saying because there are, there are larger firms that I've seen kind of compartmentalize you in, you're going to be the PA, you're going to be the PM, you're going to be the project designer, you're going to be the partner in charge. And each person has their role. And though they complement each other, everybody has a clear definition of what they need to do. I don't necessarily, and again, it's going to be based off of my experience, I don't necessarily think that just because you're a project architect or a project manager that you aren't a good project designer. I don't think it's a misnomer because it does happen often. But I think it's just I think it's an economy thing. I mean, the budgets are very limited on projects. It's got to be streamlined. Everybody really has to, kind of like play their role and do their part to get the project delivered in a timely and costly manner, or cost-efficient manner. Sorry, not costly.
And, costly if it's not done right.
True, very true. Yeah,
Freudian slip there.
Exactly, in more ways than one. And so I think that's why a lot of firms do that, is because they want to be very efficient with the project. Because we all know that we spend a lot more time on projects than sometimes the project budget allows, and that's when we start to lose money. And so for efficiency's sake, that's why firms restructure things so everybody has their role. And I think, it's kind of hard because I honestly think that when you get kind of I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this, but you're not divorcing yourself from one if you're doing another role. You have to understand design, and you have to understand project detailing in the project architect role. They go hand in hand. You have to know each of them, and if you're in a firm that is unfortunately kind of compartmentalizing you, and you don't kind of go back and forth, you're never really going to develop into the strong, well-rounded architect that you really need to be.
Depending on where you work, but yeah, I mean, that's what he wants. That's what he wants. He says that later on.
It definitely sounds like, that's what he's looking for and what he really wants to do. And I think that if you're not getting it in the place that you work, you really should look around. And this is when I always talk about the profession is what you make it. What you do in this profession is purely driven and guided by you. And so if you're being compartmentalized into a specific role and you don't have the opportunity to, say, work on the design aspect of a project, and you're just solely doing detailing or construction documents, and maybe every once in a great while you get to go out on site and do some CA work and stuff like that, then you either go to your bosses and ask for a different role, because it's everybody always does the nuclear option. Well, I'm not going to get it here, I'm going to quit and go somewhere else. You may not get it there either. So ask your firm. I mean, they may think that you're of value, that they want to keep you around, and they want you to get that well-rounded experience. If they want to keep you around, they'll give you that well-rounded experience. And so I think, before you pull the nuclear option, talk to your own firm and get that experience, because you can't be a good project architect and a good project manager if you aren't also a good designer, and vice versa. I know people who, I know that you've got a specific role, Evan, but I mean, I know people that I've met, project designers that don't know how to put together buildings, and it shows. It shows in what they draw up is, this is what we're going to do for you. And you're like, well, you really can't do that because buildings don't do that.
Yeah. Firms work in different ways. There are some where and I think this is something you've talked about before, Neil, where it's very compartmentalized, where designers hand off projects to production. And then there's other firms where it's integrated the whole way through,
right?
Which is the model we work under. So I will work on a project through construction documents. And so you do get that well-rounded experience. And there's definitely people in the firm who are still surprised that I know how to draw a detail, right? Because my main job is doing design. But I think that where he's asking, he has the perception that design talent is more important than construction expertise. I think that's more of a school thing, depending on the school. I don't think that's a firm thing. There are firms out there that rely a lot more on design, and that might seem like the case. But I think for the most part, we all want our buildings to get built.
Right.
Right. And they have to, right? We're under contract to deliver that so that it can actually get built. So I don't think that design talent is more important than construction expertise. I would actually argue that for most firms, it's probably the other way around. There's a very small percentage of design talent working in firms compared to all of those other those different job descriptions that exist. But for the most part, it is super important to know how to detail and manage projects. And since you are thinking, Daniel, about opening your own office, you definitely are on the right track, getting experience on both sides. And I would even add to that you need business experience as well. So
thank you.
Hopefully your project management side gets into the business side and the contracts and the billing and all that stuff, because if it doesn't, you're going to be at a disadvantage when you start your own firm, because you're going to have to wear all of those hats unless you hire people who are passionate about that kind of stuff. And there's definitely people for that too. But if you're thinking about opening your own office, chances are you're going to be wearing those hats for a while. And so as our friend of the show, Mark LePage of the Entree Architect podcast says, profit first and then art. I think that's really good advice when you're starting out, because you have to learn how to build a business so that when you want to do the amazing stuff that you think you're capable of and that you probably are capable of, you have to have that foundation already under you,
right.
So that you can do it effectively and keep that business going and doing those amazing projects.
Yes, because there is the leap before the looks aspect of things, where then you be right back where you are now working for somebody else. Or there's the people who kind of well plan it out. And I definitely will echo the whole business aspect of things, because there used to be this thing that at one of the firms that I worked for, they talked about design was everywhere. Design was in project management. Design was in everything else. But in this particular case, you can't design if you don't have a job. And understanding contracts, understanding the money management of things. really is the most important thing, because architects are very creative when it comes to how they can create and design a building and walk through project management and walk through construction management and stuff. And that part's fine. But actually understanding and knowing how to keep your finances afloat and really how to do business development and pull business in and things like that.
How to market, how to present, how to network, how to do all that stuff. Yeah.
That is probably far more important than knowing how to put together a building.
You can hire people to do that.
Exactly.
You can hire Moises, who's going to graduate and thinking about going to the architecture program. I mean, it's totally true, and I think we're harping on it a lot because we've all been parts of businesses that have gone under, right? And that's just I wouldn't trade that. I'm glad I had that experience. So
absolutely.
I don't knock any one of us for trying, but that's kind of the takeaway and that's why we're harping on it, because that is something that is so important, and it's not something that's well taught in school. So while there is an emphasis on design at a lot of architecture schools, I wish there was more emphasis on business and the other aspects of the profession that we all could use a lot of help with.
Yes, absolutely.
Time for some recommendations, I think.
Recommendation. That's right. We started recommendations in episode 99.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
This was your idea.
Right.
You go first.
All right, I'll go first. All right, who's throwing who under the bus now? All right, so I have a recommendation. My recommendation, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's something that I just was on the Dropbox website a couple weeks ago, and I noticed this thing on the left-hand side called Dropbox Paper. And then about a week ago, I got an email about it. And everybody uses Dropbox, so I thought this could be useful for our audience to know about. And you might have gotten the email for this, so let me know if you have. Hit me up on Twitter at eTroxel. But Dropbox Paper is a online collaboration tool. And so it's kind of Google Docs-ish, and it's kind of Trello-ish. I don't know, like we use Trello for the show. We've been using it for years to kind of collaborate on the show notes and put ideas together in real time. Now that everybody has Dropbox everywhere. It's one of those online collaboration tools that crosses the boundaries of no matter what kind of computer or device you use. So what is it? It's just basically a text document that's created on the web, and it basically you can paste in a link to a video, and the video pops in, and you can do rich text formatting, you can do comments, you can paste in links to images, you can use emoji, so it's kind of Slack-like. It does checklists. You can put tables. You can comment people. And so it's pretty cool because like on the left-hand side, you get a short little outline of your document. So you could have like a document that's a mile long. But on the left, it just gives you kind of some quick little bullet points, and you click on them and it just takes you to that spot on the page. And then on the right side of the page, so there's 3 columns. There's like the left column, which is that outline. The middle column is the main stuff. And then the comments are on the right-hand side. And so, it's kind of cool as far as like a writing tool. If people have to collaborate on creating a document for a proposal, or maybe we'd even use it for the show notes for the show or whatever. But if you log into Dropbox, click on that little paper icon, and it's pretty cool. There's it just takes you right into a few options that you can check out for samples, and it's pretty cool. I just thought it's neat because everybody could use this, right? You don't have to have a Google account. You don't have to have a Trello account. I mean, it's just already part of your Dropbox, so you can do a lot of neat stuff with it. So check it out. Just Dropbox. It's paper.dropbox.com.
Right. Yeah, I actually just pulled it up when we were talking, and it really does kind of look like, the Slack / kind of OneNote type thing where, and it's good too because you can pull it up on your phone, you can pull it up anywhere, and even send a link to your client and have them jump in there as well.
Yeah, you can send links just like you can to your Dropbox files. You can send links to your, I guess, paper documents here, and people can just jump in and start doing stuff with it. So pretty sweet.
Damn.
All
yeah,
right.
a new thing, a new toy.
Awesome. Like we have plenty of time in our life to
Try something else.
Don't go
exactly.
there.
I'll go.
Sure.
All right.
Buy Neil sometime.
I was going to say.
Hey,
give me
I
a little-
wrote it down. I wrote it down before we started recording.
All right.
Nice.
So, technology based as well. My browser of choice has been for the longest time Chrome. I like Google Chrome. I can log in to one place and anywhere else, and sure, every other browser is very similar to it. But my recommendation is, though, especially for us Arca nerds, is there is a plugin for Google Chrome. The plugin is the Arc Daily plugin. And so every time you open up a new tab, it will basically pull up a little piece of inspirational architecture. And, like I just opened it up and it says, "Long night ahead. We're here if you need some architecture inspiration."
They know you so well.
And it's got this, great picture of, this beautiful magazine quality picture of some really nice architecture. And then it has a link to that particular project, and it takes you to the Arc Daily, project page, and it pulls it up. It has little, down on the lower left corner, it talks about your calendar. Every once in a great while, if I don't have anything on my calendar, it says, "Your calendar is free. Go have a beer." Like, well, thank you.
Boy,
I don't mind if I do.
it knows you very
for
well.
the reminder.
Exactly. And then it also has a small link that off to the right hand side that says most visited, and basically it's got like the most visited articles on Arc Daily for that day. So it's kind of a collection of both inspiration and your just organization and stuff. And I find myself sometimes opening up a tab and I'm like, "Ooh, that's really nice." Well, I can't go to that website right now because I'm trying to do something.
You just
So-
leave that tab open,
Exactly.
open up
So
another
I'll
one.
Sounds
find
like
myself-
a dangerous rabbit hole to go down.
I find myself with like 15 different unused tabs open that just have that particular piece of architecture. And what was actually cool is one day I opened up a tab and the picture that came on was the lantern house that our friend of the show and just our friend, America McKeel, did. And I was just like, "Hey, I know that building. And I know the architect who did that." And it
That's
was
awesome.
like, it was kind of exciting. I was just like, "That's cool." And it just, that's what I like about it is that it just gives you that little bit of like connection to other architects in the profession and other things that we're thinking about. And then just your little simple organization. It's just a nice, clean homepage or a tab page, and it's just kind of cool. So yeah, it is the Arc Daily add-on for Chrome.
I like that. I'm not going to use it, but I can't-
Mr. Safari.
no. Well, yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
but not at
But
work.
not at work,
At work, I'm stuck with Microsoft Edge.
It's got to
That's when you insert the
uh,
crowd of people
killing it.
laughing. That's okay.
It's
you know.
got to you
The-
having to use PCs all day long.
Oh, shut
just
the hell up!
you alive.
Just shut the hell up. Let's move on. Let's move on.
great.
I want to get. Don't get. All right.
Probably crawl
it's
up into
late.
a ball crying.
All right. You're really working on getting that beep going, aren't you? All right. So my recommendation, and I typed this out before we started recording because you warned me that I had to have one. So actually just today, this sort of came up and I'm like, this is just something very useful. So what my recommendation is Amazon Prime. And I am not a huge Amazon user, but I'm finding that for some basic items, even like household items, it's just so easy to just order it, and 2 days later, it's there. And I don't have to come home from work or on the way home, stop at the store and pick up, this or that, or just basic household stuff or personal items, shampoo, soap. It just seems like the most craziest thing to do to order like shampoo from Amazon, but it saves me time. And we already have the Amazon Prime subscription. My wife has it. And one of the neat things is that she has it, and then I'm able to be like a member or family member on that account. So I can log into my Amazon account and still take advantage of Amazon Prime. And of course, no shipping charges for it. And 2 days later, you have it. So I'm finding the service to be very useful in ways that I hadn't really thought of when we first had it.
Got to keep going with it though, because as Prime members, because I'm a Prime member myself, you get Amazon Video, you get Amazon Music, and
never use it. Never use it.
You should definitely use Amazon Video because it's essentially the same thing with original content and everything else as like a Netflix or a Hulu. And they're fantastic shows like Mr. Robot. Both seasons are on there, and it's just there's original content like the now that Top Gear is no longer on Grand Tour is on Amazon Prime. So as Amazon Prime users, you will get to see the boys come back on TV, and that's just, I mean, I would get Amazon Prime subscription just for that alone. Yeah. But there are a lot of other really cool advantages with Prime. So yeah, I definitely think this is a good recommendation.
I think
plus one more plug.
Yeah.
Some friends of ours, really good friends of ours, her little brother stars in a Amazon Prime original TV show called Gordimer Gibbon's Life on Normal Street. It's kind of like a preteen teen TV show, and it's really cool. Now I get to plug somebody else's TV show too.
I was just going to add that Amazon Prime is what's very interesting about it is that it initially started as free shipping, and it has just expanded to so many different other things with music and video, as you mentioned. It's one of the services that is more than just the sum of its parts, I think. And so I give a lot of credit to Amazon for doing that. And I don't know how they make any money doing it, but whatever.
Oh, they make lots of money because you are ordering a lot.
I suppose. So
think about this. Think about this. The more that you say, "Ooh, it's free shipping, so I don't have to pay for that." I can buy a pair of shoes. I'm looking at it right now. It's just like men's casual sneakers. Like you said when you started, is that you can get anything. I knew a guy who used Amazon Prime to get diapers shipped to his house every day, so he didn't have to go and buy diapers for his kid. It makes sense.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. So anyway, that's my recommendation.
We forgot probably the most important recommendation, ARE hacks that you can find on Amazon Prime.
I like Amazon.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. First off, shout out to Arcat. Really appreciate them sponsoring the show. They really help keep us on the air and on the web and on Twitter and everywhere else. So big shout out to them. Go check them out and all the services they offer at arcat.com. And also, too, make sure you check out our different catalog of episodes. We now have 100 of them, as this is now 101. And where do you find all those? That's at archispeakpodcast.com. And also, too, just a reminder to sign up for our newsletter. We won't send you anything, but just links to all the different things we talked about in each episode, like our recommendations and other things that we've mentioned. And then between the episodes, feel free to talk to us via Twitter or on our Facebook page. Links for all of those can be found by visiting the site at archispeakpodcast.com. And thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Good night.
You have can start now, or you can hang your head in despair. The only road will take you there. They may tell you that you'll never recover, baby. I've learned one thing or another about you. It's the only road to get you there. And if they don't know how to treat a lady, maybe you can teach them how to act. They could use a little bit of discipline and a hand on the backside, baby. Let's pretend we're doing the right thing. And while we're at it, have the opposite day. Some like to hug, some leave a bruise, some need to know I'm ready for you. Once again, hey, hey, on. I see too much, it escapes on. Grates on the real world. It manufactures glory for the feeling its fractures. Bulldozing through like a tractor, a cracked actor, a mother of pearl. And if they don't know how to hold a woman, maybe you can put them back in their place. They could use a little bit of discipline and a hand across their face. Baby, let's pretend we're doing the right thing. And while we're at it, have the opposite day. Some like to hug, some leave a bruise, and some mixed up.